Warning, the following podcast contains adult language, themes, and situations. Also, the film we're about to talk about is going to be spoiled thoroughly. Listener discretion is advised. Enjoy this show.
It might shock you to learn that Nicolas Cage's highest-grossing film didn't come from his holy trilogy of The Rock, Con Air, or Face Off, nor his two turns as Benjamin Franklin Gates in the National Treasure series, but rather from a 2013 animated film that racked up over $500 million at the box office. So come along with us as we Oonga Boonga our way through the first of two films starring Nick as an overprotective cave dad, The Croods.
Okay, let's run.
I'm like a prickly pear.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole! Porker, how'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? Hey, have you ever been dragged to the sidewalk and being until you pissed blood?
Welcome to One Cage at a Time, the show where we break down every single Nicolas Cage movie, one film at a time. Here are your hosts, Patrick, Vince, and Nigel.
A cave father and his prehistoric family must face the hard truth that their way of life is coming to an end as they battle through a harsh, new, mysterious world with the aid of a young hunk that everyone's favorite cave dad isn't too happy his daughter is taking an interest in.
Let's meet the stars of the film.
The Croods stars Deadpool himself, Ryan Reynolds, two-time Academy Award winner Emma Stone, Nick's kick-ass co-star and Hot Tub Time Machine star Clark Duke, an indie darling who is quite the boggle player, as we learned in Adaptation, Catherine Keener, legendary Oscar-winning actress whose incredible career spanned 8 decades, Cloris Leachman, and of course, the man who puts all the Oonga in our Boongas, Academy Award-winning actor and Father of the Year, Nicolas Kim Coppola, better known as Nicolas Cage.
It's time to go over some of the finer details.
The Croods was released on February 15th, 2013 at the Berlin International Film Festival. Quick fact, it had its premiere in the out of competition section at the 63rd Berlin International Film Festival, and it was the first full-length animated feature to be shown at that festival. I don't know why they chose to put it there, but I don't know, international attention. I feel like animated films really do well with the international audience, especially because they can translate it to whatever they want and just change the mouth movements and stuff. It's like super easy to do that now, especially now. I don't know about 2013, but I would assume even back then, because it was digital animation, probably wasn't that hard to change it for international audiences.
Yeah.
But that kind of explains why it made so much money. It had its full release on March 22nd, 2013, with a budget of $135 to $175 million. Never understand that those varying budgets. Like they don't actually know how much it costs. I don't know. Something feels fishy
Hollywood
when you
accounting.
see that. Yeah. But it grossed $587.2 million.
Shit.
Which is a full $130 million more than National Treasure 2, which was our previous highest grossing film. That is nuts. A $600 million movie in 2013, and it's not even that good.
No.
It's not even great. I mean, I guess it's the power of getting the kids out of the house.
Yeah, it's a family picture.
Yeah.
I mean,
anything to get you to shut the fuck up for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why Nigel
Just go-
to see Garfield.
Some lights and colors of 5 dun 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 jokes from a talking sloth. There you go, 600 million.
God damn.
This was directed by Chris Sanders and Kirk D'Amico. This is pretty common with animated films, they separate it into two camps for the directors. There's usually somebody who's over the visuals and the animation and all that kind of stuff, and then there's somebody who's over the performances and sound and all that kind of stuff. So it's sort of separated out into two different camps. Sanders actually directed Lilo and Stitch, and then he went on to do How to Train Your Dragon, which he also wrote. He has also been an executive producer on all of the How to Train Your Dragon films, including the upcoming live-action version, which we'll see how that does.
Didn't even know about that.
Yeah, they're apparently doing a kind of a version of the first film.
Yeah.
But live action, which will inevitably spawn 2 more sequels after that. Gotta wonder who's gonna play the kid in that one. Like, you could just have Jay Baruchel do it now.
Yeah.
Like, he still looks the same.
He's forever young. It's probably
and
one
you
of
could
those
have what's his face from 300. He could be the dad. Like,
Gerard
Butler.
Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
It'd probably be one of the Stranger Things kids. Plays the
That's
dude.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Hope it's
Like Jay
Dusty.
Baruchel's 42 years old now.
Wow.
And he looks 16.
He still looks 16. Yeah.
Lucky son of a
I'd
bitch.
say his 20s. I wouldn't say teen, but yeah, it's still.
Yeah. I saw that weed, man. It preserves you. Chris Sanders also wrote the story treatments for the original 90s Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and The Lion King for Disney. That's why I wore my Walt Disney shirt today. D'Amico didn't have quite the huge career. He wrote and directed Space Chimps. You guys remember Space Chimps?
God, thank God Nick Cage wasn't in that one.
Wow.
And recently did that Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken movie that just came out like not too long ago. I didn't hear anything positive or negative about it. It just kind of was, and then it was not anymore. It just happened, and then it was gone. I don't know.
I have no clue what the hell that movie is.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Forgotten already. This was written by Chris Sanders and what's his name? Kirk D'Amico. But they also, the original story was written by the legendary Monty Python Fawlty Towers star, John Cleese.
Yeah, I saw that in the
saw that.
credits. It's like, what
And I
the?
thought, what the hell? Yeah.
Yeah, a little weird, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that is weird. He's going to be at a con I'm going to this month, so I might try and
Oh, nice.
get
Ask
his
him about it,
autograph
dude.
and be like,
That-
hey, will you sign my copy of the Croods?
And then ask him, how did they take whatever you wrote and turn it into that?
I don't have a copy of the Croods, actually, so no, I won't be doing that.
Well, your birthday's coming up, so maybe you'll receive one.
This was shot by no one because it's animated. But the greatest cinematographer of all time, in my opinion, Roger Deakins, was actually brought in as a visual consultant for this.
Really?
Which doesn't show at all.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess he was just looking at the storyboards and being like, yeah, it looks all right.
yeah, like, hey, how would you film this if we were,
Yeah.
if there was a giant rift opening in the world and lava and stuff and a bunch of smoke? How would you film it?
I mean, it does not have the hallmarks of Roger Deakins.
No, not at all.
in the slightest. So yeah, a lot of times when they bring people in as visual consultants or consultants of any kind, it's pretty loose. It's just like, yeah, he dropped by the set for a minute, and we wanted to put his name in the credits as a consultant.
Yeah, I feel like he could have contributed to better shot sequences and framing.
Yeah.
Specifically,
I
some
mean-
of the framing in this movie was just a little jarring.
He's
Yeah.
very, very busy, so I would say,
Probably
he
just-
probably
yeah.
was there for a couple days.
Yeah.
I doubt he had much input on this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just like you said, just storyboard. Just went through the storyboard and
Yeah.
had them read. through
Maybe,
certain
maybe
things.
gave them a few notes here and
Yeah.
there, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
imagine him doing much.
Jesus.
Roger Deakins may look like a full-grown Oompa Loompa. He has shot some of the most visually spectacular films of the last 40 years. He's been nominated for 16 Academy Awards. Just recently won his first one, which I believe was Blade Runner. 2049. But then he followed that up like a year, maybe 2 years later with 1917. But very briefly, he shot The Shawshank Redemption, Fargo, The Big Lebowski, A Beautiful Mind, No Country for Old Men, The Assassination of Jesse James, The Reader, True Grit, Skyfall, Sicario, Blade Runner 2049, 1917, and a plethora of other films. He's worked a lot with the Coen brothers over the years. He also did that 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Ebbing, Missouri or whatever. Yeah.
I think he did. I might have to look
I think
that
you're
up,
right. I
but-
thought he did. I thought he was on there.
But he is an absolute fucking master when it comes to like light and being able to work within like the frame. Like 1917 is one of the most gorgeous films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
2049 Blade Runner is also Sicario. It's like
Sicario,
Sicario feels like a film that's like it would not be as good if it wasn't as visually spectacular as it is.
I don't think he shot the sequel, and you could tell.
Yeah, no, he didn't. And Denis Villeneuve did not come back for the sequel either.
No,
so.
he didn't. I think he wrote it, or no, he didn't write it. I think he advised a little bit. But what's his?
I think he was a producer on it, and I feel like he helped with the story, but I don't think he actually.
But
wrote
just,
anything
I
on
feel
it.
like hands down, he's the greatest all time at being able to shoot a scene and capture that tension that is being portrayed in there. I mean, Jesus Christ, just from Sicario to No Country for Old Men, some of those scenes they're to me, they look so simple the way they're set up and shot, but the fucking emotion and tension you get out of them is insane. And if anybody else had shot those movies, I don't think they would have been as good, just because the way that he's able to capture that.
There's this scene in Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford where like Brad Pitt's character is up on a platform that they put in front of the train to stop the train from coming, and it's one of the best cinematography like constructed shots I've ever seen. It's just gorgeous. One of the best shots ever. I wanted to like highlight him because he has never worked on a Nick Cage movie. So I'm never going to be able to talk about him ever again. We spend most of the time talking about him when he had really nothing to do with this movie.
Right. Hey, he was a consultant.
Yeah.
Consultant. Yeah. This was edited by Darren T. Holmes, who also edited The Iron Giant, one of the greatest animated films of all time, in my opinion. Lilo and Stitch, Ratatouille, How to Train Your Dragon, Wolf Walkers, which I haven't actually seen or heard of, and also was an associate editor on Robin Hood Men in Tights back in the day. It's always funny to see, like, if you really dive into people's careers to see what they were an assistant director or editor on, or were in the camera department and stuff. It's funny, like seeing where people come from. Like starting out with, he worked on a few different Mel Brooks movies as an associate editor, and then ended up transitioning into animated film. And then, of course, the music was by our old pal Alan Silvestri, who we talked a bit about during our Bringing Out the Dead episode way back when. One of the greatest composers of all time, wrote the theme song for Back to the Future. Who doesn't know? Like, everybody knows that theme song. It's like up there with Star Wars or Superman. Did the Avengers theme. Also, I would say for the generation now, like that's probably about the same as like our generation with the Back to the Future theme. Did the music for Forrest Gump, The Predator, The Abyss, just James Cameron, Young Guns, list goes on and on. But hilariously, I found that he did the music for Adam Rifkin's Mouse Hunt movie.
Fuck that movie.
I think that's so funny. It's tie into our previous episode on Tuesday. Adam Rifkin somehow took that movie and ended up working with Alan Silvestri of Down the Line. How do you just fail upwards in Hollywood like that? It's pretty crazy. Ratings, this has a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.6 out of 10 on 144 reviews, which is a lot I don't feel like any film we've talked about this season has even come close to that many reviews. It's a pretty good sample set. Audience score is a 77%. Both of those feel a little high, but I don't know. It's hard to like. I feel like people have a hard time shitting on kids' movies.
Yeah.
But we're going to do that anyway.
Boy, do they not anymore. Times have changed. I don't know if you've seen the Garfield reviews, but they are fucking brutal.
Wow. Okay.
Punny, and brutal. Last I looked, it was at 33% on Rotten Tomato from critics. Yeah, they destroyed it. Anyways.
Wow. Our Metacritic score is surprisingly, it's 55%. So
yeah, it's kind of
usually Metacritic is kind of close to like Rotten Tomatoes, but we've talked about it many times, but like it's a weighted score with Metacritic depending on how famous the critic is, which is such a weird way to like do reviews for movies. I don't really understand that, but whatever. It's just like if one critic is really harsh with a movie, it can tank the entire movie. Yeah. Because I feel like most people, myself included at this point, because time is so limited, theaters are so expensive, and it's prohibitively hard to get to the theater for me now because I live out in the middle of nowhere. So I have to I definitely have to look at the reviews and see if it's worth my time to go see a movie in the theater. And if it's got pretty tepid, shitty reviews, I'm not going to go. Which explains probably a lot of other people's experience with Marvel recently. Is like I don't really have the time, and if it's getting a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, I'm probably just gonna bail.
And I'm already paying for Disney
I'll watch
Plus.
it on Disney Plus when it's on.
In 3 months.
And I think like also the cost to go to the movies now is. It's not as cheap as it used to be, and if you're taking a family, it better be worth your fucking time because you're gonna get whacked for $100 between tickets and concessions. Yeah,
easily. Yeah.
So I can understand why theaters are struggling right now. It's
like $15 for a popcorn is not sustainable
unless it's the Dune popcorn bucket. I pay $115 for that.
Or the Wolverine mouth from Deadpool.
Yeah, I paid $300 for that.
IMDb gave it a 7.1. It sounds like everybody's right around like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is fair. It's a really just kind of meh movie. For $600 million at the box office, it's just it's very forgettable.
Yeah.
I feel like the Croods 1 and 2 have been just kind of like, it's a fun time for a minute. We'll probably never think about it again. Whereas like a Pixar movie, you probably will keep that. You'll remember that. But I would be hard pressed. Give me 2 years. I probably won't remember a single detail from either of these movies. But,
I've seen this movie before and I couldn't remember a fucking thing about it. I thought Guy was a part of their family. Like that was my memory. Like he was like the son, and he was and so when he showed up and he wasn't a part of their family, I was like, what the fuck? How did I misremember that?
I remember the sloth going dun dun dun. That's it.
I didn't even remember
all I remember.
I don't remember Belt at all.
And a cinema score of A, which is also kind of high. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
I would expect like a B plus is what I was expecting. But,
yeah,
or an A minus.
A minus.
That seems high. I don't know.
I guess
maybe
you
we're
take
harsh.
your kids and your kids like it. I mean, it's obviously a movie not for.
We're middle-aged guys.
Yeah, it's a movie for kids, and it's got a thin veneer of stuff parents would enjoy, but not as much as what modern kids movies do. So it's sort of like, whatever. Kids liked it.
I did find myself liking it more on the second viewing, like when I was doing the breakdown and stuff. There's a charm to it, but it's also
there's heart to it. It's a good story.
I see it. I don't know. Yeah. It's all right. It's okay. Mm-hmm. We're very, we're jaded old men, so take our opinion with a grain of salt, especially when it comes to kids' movies. Because aside from one of us, we don't have any kids.
That we know.
So it's not like we're like, that we know of. It's not like we're, the target demo in the slightest. So, yeah.
How about a Coppola quick facts?
Right. Coppola quick facts. This is kind of long-winded here, but the film was announced in 2005 under the working title Crude Awakening.
I got a lot out of that pun, I guess.
Yeah. Originally a stop-motion animated film that was going to be made by Aardman Animations, the people who did Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, and it was supposed to be part of a 5-picture deal with DreamWorks, with Aardman Animations kind of co-producing on these. John Cleese and Kirk D'Amico were brought in, and they planned on working on a feature based on Roald Dahl's story, The Twits, that I think eventually went into production, or it's like coming out at some point. DreamWorks got a copy of the Twits script and they liked it and invited Cleese and D'Amico over to take a look at the company's ideas to see if they found something that they would like to work with that wasn't the Twits, because apparently DreamWorks didn't want to do that one. I don't know. They chose a basic story about 2 cavemen on the run, an inventor and a Luddite, and wrote the first few drafts of the script. Eventually, Aardman ended up pulling out and not doing this 5-picture deal in 2007, and the rights of the film reverted to DreamWorks, and John Cleese bailed and decided to go work on other projects. So I would say what we're seeing is not really John Cleese's work.
Yeah.
He's kind of like there for the fleshing out of the story, and that was about it. It was a completely different story about 2 cavemen on the run. And then we got this family story. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the 2 cavemen were going to be brothers, and that was how the Croods were going to be, the name was going to come from, but I don't know. Or the family was always intended to be there. This story actually resembles Plato's fable, The Cave, which is a metaphor of the mental limitations people are burdened with. Only a few people can learn to think outside the parameters of convention and see the vast, diverse world of possibilities outside of their cave. So that's kind of the crux of the story, is that, kind of like if you went by that Crude Awakening story or name, it's Grug's story of kind of coming out of his shell and coming out of his cave. With the thanks is that
the help of
with the help
or thanks
of, thanks to Guy and his daughter. Before the film's release, DreamWorks Animation was suffering from major disaster at the box office and generally mixed word of mouth reception for Rise of the Guardians. Remember that movie?
No.
Like in 2012. As a result of this, combined with other factors, in February 2013, this is going to be an ongoing thing that I've noticed already, because I already started doing research on the ant bully. But the studio announced right before this movie came out that they were laying off 350 employees as part of a company-wide restructuring. With the ant bully, the studio went out of business as soon as the movie came out. And I'm wondering if that's going to happen, like G-Force, Astro Boy. I don't feel like any of those movies did like great.
I
thought G-Force got a sequel.
Yeah, G-Force got a sequel and like
G-Force got a sequel?
Yeah, for kids.
So.
I'm pretty sure it did. I know, like the younger generation, that was their jam.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude.
I know nothing about that movie, so
I don't either. But I just remember
going
being
in blind,
very popular with kids.
It's like hamsters doing spy stuff, right?
Guinea pig.
Yeah.
Guinea pigs.
Yeah, but it was like kind of in the same vein of like Spy Kids and all that stuff. It hit this weird market.
Well, I'm excited. You can tell by my enthusiasm. I can't wait. If the Croods had bombed even worse than Guardians, the studio was going to lay off even more employees and face the potential possibility of bankruptcy. DreamWorks was almost out of business. Couldn't bank on that Shrek and
Puss in
Boots money anymore.
G-Force does not have a sequel.
I thought it did.
Oh.
Not like
Yeah,
I didn't think it did because I feel like I would have stumbled upon it. If Nick Cage was in the sequel, then he wasn't, or was, if there was a sequel, then Nick Cage wasn't in the sequel because it's definitely not on his credits. So, yeah. The Croods opened March 22nd, 2013 to glowing positive reviews and widely enthusiastic acclaim from audiences, and eventually earned $186 million in the U.S. and over $583 million worldwide. It remarkably helped DreamWorks' earnings rise from $162.8 million to $213.4 million in the second quarter of 2013, which is one of the best financial earnings ever received in the company's history. So this movie kind of reinvigorated DreamWorks, gave DreamWorks a second bite at the apple, because it sure seemed like they were going to be going out of business if this movie wasn't successful. Yeah. Which is a lot of pressure to put on a little production like this. A little $155 million production like this. It is insane how much it costs to make these movies. It's so nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tedious hours and hours and hours paying animators.
Yeah.
Which you can see why they've offshored a lot of that to save money.
Yeah.
But it shows, now it's like that like the third eye that Doctor Strange has.
Super realistic, bro.
Like, come on, man.
Well, they fired the woman in charge of all of the visual effects at Marvel Studios.
Good.
So,
yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how AI comes to the play when it comes to animation.
Yeah. I feel like AI is going to change the game.
Because
for better or worse.
That stuff is getting creepy realistic. Like,
yeah.
Scary realistic.
Yeah. I mean, if you can do visual effects just by typing in a prompt, I mean, you're going to save a whole lot of money, but you're also going to put a whole lot of people out of work.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be revolutionary and devastating to the visual effects market. But, we'll just have to wait and see how it all shakes out. But
yeah.
I feel like eventually you're just going to be able to make a Marvel style movie on your computer. Just
getting there.
Filming a couple things and then popping in a couple prompts.
I think probably better than what they're putting out right now. So
yeah, that's true.
It's not there yet, but it's getting pretty damn close.
It's getting close, and it's getting better and better. Like by the week, it feels like.
Yeah. Like how I say that AI is the worst it will ever be right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
The best it'll ever be is when it puts us out of our misery and dominates the world.
when it sends the Terminators to kill us all. That's or the Terminator dogs that they've been making. Seriously, why would you ever strap a machine gun on one of those things? That was like the first thing they did as soon as they made it. They were like, oh, it stands up.
Yeah.
Words. Let's just put a machine gun on his back.
I'd rather them have a machine gun on it than a furry outfit. So,
not me. I think those little robot dogs are pretty fuckable.
Oh, shit.
This is the first DreamWorks animation film to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature since Puss in Boots, which, that was 2011, and this came out in 2013. So not really that big of an accomplishment. But it was also nominated for a Golden Globe. Didn't win either one. I forget who won 2013. This film ended up launching a brand new franchise with a television series now, which I think is on Peacock, which is called Dawn of the Croods.
I think it's on Hulu, isn't it?
I don't know. It debuted on Netflix, but I think it moved around.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, a sequel directed by Joel Crawford titled The Croods, A New Age, which was released right in the heart of the pandemic, November 25th, 2020. I don't feel like it got much of a theatrical release. We'll see. We're going to be getting to that movie very shortly.
Man,
once we blast
really
through the other.
On that hype train. They just rode the success 7 years later.
Yeah. I mean, these
It
things
takes
take
a while to
long
make
ass
an
time.
animated movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
70
still, yeah,
years.
it probably should have come out. I mean, it made $600 million. You would think it would jump right into production for
Yeah.
part 2, but
But then again, Ryan Reynolds and Emma Stone, their careers blew up.
yeah.
Blew up. This is like right as they were about to peak,
Yeah.
I feel. So probably
This
hard
is
to nail them
when
down.
Cage's career blew up in the opposite direction.
Yeah, this is when he started doing Dog Eat Dog and Dying of the Light, and Knowing, and
Yeah.
what Left
I
Behind.
don't know. I don't know if Cloris Leachman is in the sequel because she passed
She passed
relatively
away.
recent.
I was wondering about that
I
when
thought she passed away before COVID. No,
I mean,
don't know.
she
I don't remember.
might be. Because they do, the voice audio recording can be done years before the movie's released.
yeah, that's true. That's true. She could have recorded all that before she passed. Might have been one of the last things she did.
I see her in the cast. So,
Okay.
For her on IMDb.
DreamWorks Animation designed Grug specifically for Nicolas Cage. I didn't know this, but apparently this is a famous fact. Nick Cage turned down voicing Shrek,
Oh yeah,
and it's
What?
because he didn't like the character design. He thought the character was too ugly and it didn't work. So I know Chris Farley was originally supposed to do Shrek, and then he passed away. And then they brought in Mike Myers, but I did not know that Nick Cage was attached to do Shrek at any point. That's crazy.
I'm glad he
I
did.
think it's for the best that he did.
Yeah. Sadly for him, it probably would have been life changing, but for us,
I don't know.
I can't imagine.
I don't think those
he's-
movies would have had the staying power.
I don't
Yeah.
know, dude. I think he's perfect for animation. I think he would
He's
have
great
been,
for animation.
He's
but
such a great
He is,
voice
but
actor.
he would have played it
I don't
straight.
think
He
he
wouldn't
is.
have done
Yeah.
like a Scottish accent.
Right.
I mean, I hope
Like
not.
I mean,
Mike Myers
he
is-
might have tried.
Like Nick
I don't
Cage
think
could
the
do
Scottish
voice
accent
acting,
was supposed to
but
be there.
No.
It was just
It
Mike
has
Myers
Mike
doing Mike
Myers.
Myers stuff.
working on his fat bastard impression.
Yeah, like watch some of the storyboards of it with Chris Farley. It was just Chris Farley. doing
Yeah.
the vo- like,
Yeah.
just say so. I think, like Nick Cage can do voice acting, but I think Mike Myers actually made Shrek a character. Like,
he did.
Yeah.
He
a recognizable
yes.
character.
Shrek would not be Shrek without Mike Myers. It's 100%.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. He created that character.
It could have definitely been a movie that did, the Croods style business where it was
Yeah.
like kind of forgotten right away.
Right.
But Mike Myers and the chemistry with Eddie Murphy really
Yeah.
kind of made those movies what they are. Grug's body language was based on Nicolas Cage's performances in Leaving Las Vegas and The Family Man. Like, why are you basing it on
What?
Leaving Las Vegas?
I don't remember him running around like a gorilla in The Family Man.
Nor in Leaving Las Vegas.
I think it's
like-
more like the way that he walked and carried himself, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of Nick Cageism, like when he's like pointing to himself
Yeah.
or like doing the. I mean, just very.
I'm sure that just means they
physical.
used clips from those movies as references for their keyframes for animation.
Yeah.
just to make it feel a little more
There are
realistic.
some Cageisms in the face.
Yes,
I did
The
notice
teeth.
quite a few of those.
Yeah.
But why would you choose a movie about an alcoholic scriptwriter who's drinking himself to death to use as your animation? Like,
Probably to try to capture that Neanderthalic movement. I would imagine.
he
I
does
don't
have a
know.
lot of like he has his drunk movements.
Yeah, he's because he really does. Yeah, he has like really kind of drunk movements and.
Also, the Family Man, he's playing it real straight.
Yeah.
Maybe in the scene where he's bitching at his wife about like going
At
to the
mall.
store, and
Yeah.
maybe that, but I don't know. It's very strange.
I
Maybe
think they
because there
probably-
are a lot of like nice close-ups of Cage
Yes,
in the
yep.
Family Man.
Yeah,
But
and I
maybe
think we
they based
I
the face off.
I
of
think
it.
I talked about it in Family Man that you can tell a lot of what he's going through emotionally with how he's carrying
Yes,
himself throughout
yeah,
that movie. So I'm
100%.
sure
Yeah.
they just use that you
Yep.
know as
Yeah.
as references for the emotions he's going through in the Croods because
Yeah.
it mirrors some of it.
Yeah.
I agree. They should use Vampire's Kiss, to be honest. I think that would have been the best performance to go after.
That totally. Exactly. Yeah.
He's jumping on the couch.
I think all of his movies should be based off of Vampire's Kids. That's just me personally. This is the second time that Nick Cage and Catherine Keener have played husband and wife. I forgot that she was in 8mm. She plays his wife in that too. Catherine Keener is kind of like, she's always kind of like on the crux of being a household name, but I always feel like she's kind of forgotten in the pantheon of great actresses. She's always great, but I feel like she's kind of forgotten. I don't know why that is.
I think it's because she kind of fell into a character.
She does.
Fell into like a character.
But like
actor.
so does Tilda Swinton, and nobody Tilda Swinton is a household name, but like Catherine Keener, I feel like isn't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I think she's underrated at that. Her performances are
100%.
Both in
always
adaptation.
great. Huh?
Say
I said
what?
both in adaptation.
Yep. Yeah. But it's crazy that they played husband and wife in 8mm and this movie, and Croods too, of course. This is one of my big criticisms of this movie is this right here. Almost all of the animals depicted in the movie never existed, nor could they have ever existed under the basic laws of physics and biology.
Yeah.
They are chimeras, fantasy creations designed by putting together parts of extremely different animals. And I'm like, you have very little time with children to like whip any kind of educational message into anything animated like this, and you choose to like make up animals and make up locations and places that could not possibly exist. It's just, I don't know, almost like irresponsible. It's just weird.
It didn't bother me.
It's going back to caveman times and just being like, fucking turtles can fly.
Yeah, but it goes back to like, this is how they capture children's imaginations. The bright colors, these fantastical beasts. Like,
don't you remember, like, as a kid, like, any animal was possible in prehistoric times. They're all extinct now, so they can be whatever.
It's true.
It didn't bug me. PBS is right there if you want them to watch educational content.
Yeah.
Stick something that looks fun in front of them for 2 hours, and
it's either that or it's a
that's
2-hour
life-saving.
documentary on the Holocaust. Either way, you're going to learn about mythical beasts.
I'm raising my
about
kids
monsters.
on Ken Burns, and that's it. That's all they're watching.
There's that cat that's kind of becomes a member of the family at the end. They call him Chunky. Chunky the murder cat, but he is apparently a macawnivore because he's like a macaw parrot. But I don't know, that's what they called him.
It was like, was he
throughout
voiced
the
by
production.
McConaughey?
I'm a cat, man. All right. He started out as a joke in the art department. This cat. Artist Leighton Hickman was bored with the drab colors intended for the creatures in the desert scenes and painted the saber-toothed tiger with bright parrot colors. And the filmmakers liked the look for the macawnivore so much that he made the final film, and apparently they just rolled with that for every creature. They were just like, yeah, fucking whales can walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird choice to me to just
Flying
make up
piranha birds.
every animal in the whole movie.
Yeah.
But, whatever. To each their own. It's not like most cartoons, like they're based on real things or anything.
Yeah, it gave its own visual style, I guess. It's
Definitely unique. I don't know. But, I'm just going to move on.
The premise
Wow,
is
that's really struck
fantasy
a
anyway.
chord.
It's like the whole world is radically shifting and changing around. It's obviously not based on reality. They're the only people left alive, apparently. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So strange.
it's like the kind of story you tell kids.
Yeah, I guess. It kind of seems like a story that like Grug would tell.
Yeah,
So maybe this is all just through his perspective.
right.
It's time for the main event. Here comes the breakdown. Act 1, the setup.
Our film begins with Emma Stone's character Eep narrating over some cave drawings about her dysfunctional family, the Croods, who she says are cavemen. Excuse you, you shallow Paleolithic slave to the patriarchy. It's cave people, okay? She complains that they spend nearly every moment locked in a cave since the world outside is dangerous, but she says the real struggle is to survive her family. Never mind the nightmare world full of hell beasts, it's her family who are the real monsters. She says all the other cave people who live near them all died horrible deaths, but the Croods survive thanks to her dad, who I'd describe as a national treasure. She says they stay alive because her dad won't let them do anything fun like go outside at night or be curious about terrifying animals and such. What an overbearing prick this guy is, selfishly trying to keep his family from dying.
That's the lesson I got from this film.
Yeah.
What an ungrateful bitch.
Yeah.
Eve says that's all about to change in an instant, and their world is about to come to an end thanks to Ryan Reynolds and his boyish good looks that even men can't resist. I mean, so I'm told. We cut to a 3D cartoon world, no longer cave drawing cartoon world, where we see Nicolas Cage's character Grug screaming at some completely made up animals that never actually existed that are camped out in front of their cave. Some sort of like hyena lizard or something. Like turn all of the lizards into Ed the hyena from The Lion King. That's kind of what they were. We saw a globe at the beginning in the cave drawings indicating this is supposed to be our world, which feels kind of irresponsible to just make up animals when we could be giving kids anything educational to glean from this madness. But what do I know? I've devoted years of my life talking about Nicolas Cage movies. Grug tries to get his free-spirited family, who are only alive thanks to him, to listen to his instructions, but they all ignore him, including his baby, who's basically just a family dog. The only one who listens to Grug is his son, Thunk, played by Clark Duke, who is scared of literally everything. But he comes out of the cave when Grug gives him the all-clear sign, which is Nick going... They all get ready to go on a hunt except for Oonga, Catherine Keener, Grug's wife, who calls for her mom, who doesn't come out right away, which makes Grug super excited since she's hoping she died. Get used to that joke. Gran, played by Cloris Leachman, eventually pops out of the cave, much to Grug's chagrin, and they head out in a slapstick-filled hunt for a dinosaur, goat, bird, egg thing.
It's got like ram horns on it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like combination of like 8 different animals.
Quick fact, Grug frequently counts his family members. While most people may think Neanderthals didn't count, anthropologically, they were the first human species to use math as a survival tool. They counted each family member and were able to figure out how many mouths they were able to actually feed. Primarily, this was the alpha male of the household's priority, to keep count, but the whole clan would be involved in the hunt itself. How do they know this?
Who knows?
Time machines.
It has to be like cave drawings of some sort, like they put notches or something for each hunt or something.
Yeah.
So they have to know like how many people, like how much they have to catch in order to feed everybody in the group or whatever.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's always those kinds of things where I'm like, how the fuck did
They just
know
make that
that
shit up, let's be honest.
Yeah, like they find these markings on the wall and they're like, "Wow."
They were counting.
I mean, they found like art, makeup, paint, stuff like that in Neanderthal villages, so they know that they were human enough to do that. Grug screams for them to never not be afraid, and they run through their barren wasteland in a weird sped-up shot that culminates with a 3-minute chase scene of Thunk sheepishly stealing the egg while Eep gets upset since she's the real badass of the family. Each member of the family takes a turn running the egg back to the cave while all sorts of random made-up creatures also try to steal the egg, such as a couple of koala squirrel things that share one tail, a bunch of weird dog lizards, and some pig bats, a giant owl tiger thing, an elephant giraffe, etc. And eventually they get the egg to safety where it breaks immediately. Oh boy. Looked like they were running through the field that the pod race happens in Phantom Menace with all those rocks and everything.
I thought the exact same thing.
They probably use that as a reference. I don't know.
Yeah. Now this is egg racing.
Hey, Roger, how would you shoot this scene? I don't know. Just watch Phantom Menace and do it like that. That's what I do. I use the Phantom Menace for all my references.
Imagine that's actually the secret to Roger Deakins'
I just
success.
green screen everything and I reverse shot the entire movie. That's it. That's all I do.
That's it. Leave it up to the animators. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't even draw.
Well, they all gobble up the egg goo except for Grug, who gets nothing since no one in his awful family appreciates what he does for them. Well, he said he ate last week, so it's fine. At least that's the lesson that I'm getting from the film so far. He says it's all right since he ate last week, and then he sees the sun's about to go down. But wasn't it morning like 3 minutes ago? This hell world. Time
Spent all day going and finding that one egg, I guess.
Well, there was a sped up shot, so maybe that was 12 hours of running through the burning calories and all that.
Then they got chased for 12 hours after that.
Yeah. He says, come on, darkness brings death. We know this, and escorts his family back to the cave, except for Eep, who free solos 1,000-foot sheer cliff so that she can just feel that last bit of sun on her face or hand or whatever's going on. She hears the horn of Abraxas from high up on the cliff. But before she can find out what the demon bikers from Mandy are up to, Grug calls her to return to the cave.
God damn it.
Did sound like the horn of Abraxas, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They fucking love it. I've been rewatching all the X-Men movies, and I forgot that guy's in X-Men 3, I think.
He is?
Yeah, he plays Trask in the third X-Men. He's just like some random advisor to the president. And I was like, my God, Stephen Duke. So I've seen him in 3 movies now.
Yeah.
Predator, X-Men: The Last Stand, and Mandy.
Yeah. I think that's all his IMDb credits.
His filmography.
Like just those 3.
Well, Grug nearly gets killed by that weird bobcat, tiger, owl, lemur thing, but Eep gets back just in time for him to close the cave before he and his entire family are killed. But then she bitches inside the cave that their lives are pointless since they spend it all hiding in a cave, and Grug tells them a story about a little bear that listened to its father, but the bear was filled with curiosity, so she climbed to the top of a tree, saw something new, and died.
I like his stories.
Me too.
They all died.
Saw something new and God.
He just flaps his hand on it, and then all the pictures on the wall have his handprint on it. It's great. Some good visual storytelling.
Yeah.
Thunk says, I get it, Dad. I will never do anything new or different. And they all go to sleep in a pile, except Eep, who sleeps on a ledge while Grug watches her with sadness in his eye. That night, Eep hears a strange sound and sees light outside the cave, so she decides to go out and investigate. She follows the light from a torch away from the safety of the cave, where she eventually finds it on top of a cliff. We see her dance with the embers and eventually try to grab the flame, only to be stopped by some guy wearing a warthog mask of some sort. This guy just happens to be a cute teen dude played by Ryan Reynolds, who immediately starts a fire in Eep's... Never mind, it's a kid's movie. In her eyes.
In her eyes, yeah. In her heart.
Yeah. She lifts him up into the air with one hand and sniffs him for a bit, and then eventually spots a cute little merchandising opportunity wrapped around his leg. Grug wakes up to find his daughter missing and heads out to find her. Back with Eep and Guy, the flame from his torch starts to go out, and Eep is amazed when he uses his magic to restart it. And after Eep squeezes him till he passes out, the little cute, about to make DreamWorks a fortune in toy sales sloth Guy keeps around his leg, uses some rocks as a defibrillator to wake him. Guy and Belt, the sloth, hear something coming thanks to some seashells somehow, and Guy warns Eep that the world is ending, and the sloth goes, dun, 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 which is the only thing anyone seems to remember about this film, since it was in all the trailers, and the sloth does it like 4 more times in the movie. Well, he's an improvement from Sid.
Yeah.
From Ice Age.
I feel like this was like a formula that they worked out back then that they still use constantly. Like the minions are just like a forced in device to sell toys and like have merchandising opportunities.
No, the minions are a forced-in device because kids didn't like the movie without them, so they came up with them to captivate kids' imagination, and then it blew up into this amazing opportunity for them.
So they didn't
blew up
that,
into
right?
Facebook memes that old people post everywhere.
So they weren't even really planned; they were just accidentally.
They were added in after
they were like, "Oh shit!"
After early screenings with low ratings. Yeah,
Despicable Me was kind of boring from what I've heard without it, so they added that in.
I mean, I've seen that movie and I just remember the minions. So
yeah. I think that's how it's exactly the same of this movie. It was like I feel like the sloth was forced in there just to sell toys and merch, and that's the only thing people will remember. And like, I know I haven't seen the second one yet, but there's another sloth in that one. So I'm assuming that they really lean into the sloth in the second one around because they made a fortune off the first one.
And I'm sure the cat pet thing is a main character in it because they could sell that toy as well. And,
Yep. Carnivore. All right.
Oh man, that would have been awesome if they fucking brought him in to voice that character.
Meow.
Guy explains that the Earth is opening up across the landscape and that lava is devouring everything in its path, so they need to leave and find high ground immediately. Eep says she can't just leave her family, so Guy gives her a seashell she can use as a horn that he can magically hear for 50 miles in any direction. It's the horn of Abraxas. Already said. Guy disappears into the darkness, and Eep is surprised by Grug standing right behind her. He scolds her for disobeying his rules, and they're almost killed by that lemur tiger thing again. Back at the cave, she says that she found something new, which causes him to form a battle circle like they're in Sparta, but she explains that he was nice. Grug is upset to find out his daughter snuck out to meet some boy/something new, since new things are the enemy. She sells seashells by the seashore. I mean, she uses the seashell to try and call him, but her family destroys the shell like a pack of chimpanzees. Eep asks what's wrong with him, and Grug explains that it was dangerous and grounds her to the cave forever. Suddenly, they hear a loud rumble, and the ground starts to crack. Everything starts collapsing all around them, and the family is forced to run for safety. With their cave destroyed, a new world is revealed to them that is decidedly less drab, dirty, and awful. They see a spooky-looking mountain off in the distance and a lush forest filled with made-up plants and animals, including a giant flying parrot turtle and whatever other Dr. Seuss things that this movie will come up with. They suddenly see the lemur tiger thing again, which chases them to a cliff where they are forced to jump, leap of faith, into the forest hundreds of feet below. Since this is only a cartoon, they all land safely. Literally cross the threshold. Suddenly, the movie just turns into Avatar with everything bright and glowing in the forest, and Sandy, the baby, catches a mouse elephant with her teeth. Grug says they need to find a cave so they can wait to be safe, and they sneak through the wacky forest one step at a time as Grug says, wait, okay, wait, okay, wait, okay. While turtle birds fly around and living dandelions float in the air.
Act 2. It's about time we had some conflict, wouldn't you say?
We cut to dusk where Grug comes face to face with a monkey gang, which he tries to intimidate by making crazy noises at, and all the monkeys just take turns punching him in the face for a while his no good family does nothing. No help whatsoever, except for Gran, who jumps in and also punches Grug in the face. His family sucks. Like, seriously, they don't even try to help him out at all. They just let these monkeys wail on him.
Honey, when you're done, we need to get a move on.
The monkeys all run off, and we see a saber-toothed parrot come out of the jungle. Grug tries the tactics he took with the lemur cat thing, but when he chucks a rock at saber parrot, it catches the stone and tosses it. So they climb a tree, which turns out to also be alive, then run into a cave, which turns out to be a land whale of some sort. Like, when the fuck did this movie turn into a Lovecraft novel? The land whale shoots them all out of its spout, since that's how that works, and they all land safely after falling a couple 100 feet, which prompts Grug to say,
Dude, he kind of does his thing from Trapped in Paradise.
Ow! Oh, ow! Ooh!
The cageisms in this film are incredible. The saber-toothed parrot stalks them again from nearby, but is scared when it suddenly gets dark, which apparently awakens some sort of bird piranha gang, and devour a whale down to the bone in seconds. Grug tries to save his family from the murder birds, but Eep finds a horn and calls for Guy, who can apparently teleport because he's there in like 20 seconds. Guy uses
How is he so close? Like,
I don't know.
He was going in the opposite direction too, by the way.
But she blew the horn and then they broke it, so maybe he started coming back and then followed him.
No, maybe.
the
Plausible.
I don't know.
But they also like fell off a mountain, like off a
right.
cliff down below, and he's somehow still there and like close by.
Yeah.
I don't know. And they've been walking all day long. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they had to break every 2 seconds, so
Sure.
Yeah. That's
easy for
true.
him to catch up.
wait,
Guy uses fire to scare off the birds while holding Grug's daughter tight and saves the day. Grug is pissed to see the boy toy, so he makes some wacky noises in Guy's face, which scares the crap out of him. Guy tries to save Eep from the cavies, racist, by killing them all with a knife, but she says they're my family. Grug tries to make Guy create fire, and he also squeezes him till he passes out. It's just wacky fun. The whole family take turns trying to touch the fire, stepping on it, trying to eat it, and setting some grass on fire, etc. Just wacky hijinks. Guy wakes up to find the whole world on fire around him, including some corn, which turns into a rocket, which they all ride for a while before it zooms off into the air and explodes like fireworks. They all wake up in a pile of popcorn and scream, "Still alive!" while Guy and Belt try to escape this nightmare. Eep catches Guy while he's running away, and he explains that the earthquake that destroyed their cave was only the beginning of the end, and they need to get to high ground. Eep convinces Grug that they need to keep Guy around so that they can use fire to keep them safe. Grug stuffs Guy into a hollow log while he begs to go to the super unrealistic mountains in the distance, and Grug only relents when he sees a mammoth fall when the ground just opens up underneath it. Oh, and the sloth gives us our second dun dun dun.
was that like 8 minutes between the two of those? The first two jokes.
I mean, it felt like 2 hours, but yeah. The family are not convinced walking to the mountain is realistic, since it's a long way away, and he equates the journey to a family road trip. On the trail, they argue and hit each other nonstop, and the baby tries to eat Thunk and Gran. All the made-up animals on the trail are super annoyed by them, so they stay away, and Gran tries to eat Belt, but the sloth pulls out a prison shiv.
That was modeled after a prison shift, dude.
Yeah.
There's no way.
That stuff's done some hard time.
It's like, those couple little jokes that are in there for adults that make you actually enjoy it while you're watching it with a kid.
Yeah. Greg spots a dodo-looking chicken dinosaur and forces Thunk to go grab another egg, but after that fails, they eat a giant purple scorpion raw. Gran complains that it's not enough food and then tries to eat Thunk, which gives Belt and Guy an opportunity to make a break for it, but Eep catches him immediately. He begs her to let him eat something that isn't disgusting, which we all know is code for her. Wait, sorry, this again is a kid's movie, so let's keep this PG. Eep decides to help Guy hunt for food, and he creates a trap for that weird dinosaur bird thing. They build a costume of a girl pajama dinosaur bird thing and get the real bird all horned up. But before it runs into the trap, Guy and Eep get tangled in an awkward, sexy hug, causing their puppet to go all dreary or droopy.
Derpy.
Derpy.
I guess droopy.
All the same. Limp. The dino bird grabs the puppet and throws it, causing Guy to fall back into the log, which Grug is holding. Eep gets the bird to run into Guy's trap, and the Croods enjoy the first cooked meal of their lives. While they're ripping the bird to shreds from the inside out, Guy watches on horrified, which I can't blame him. I'd be fucking terrified just watching these. Watching
Funny,
this
like
whole
how
thing.
Cloris Leachman's character, is she just turns into an animal when she's hungry.
Yeah, she's hangry, man. I get it.
Can you imagine eating a turkey and you just reach inside it and pull meat out from the inside of the cavity and eat it?
Or sticking your head into it. Greg is upset that he's no longer the provider for the family, but Uga, God damn these fucking names, convinces him to tell one of his famous stories. Grog tells the story of Eep leaving the cave at night against his wishes, and as soon as she did, their cave was destroyed, and everyone had to go on this long, sucky walk with some weirdo they met and died.
Died.
Guy says the story was amazing since he never expected the ending. The Croods, aside from Grug, beg Guy to tell a story, and he tells a story about Eep going to the cliff and reaching for the last bit of light. But then he adds a bit about the tiger being able to fly to tomorrow. Grug says tomorrow isn't a place since he's butt hurt that Guy told a better story than him. And Guy says tomorrow is where he's headed. I think we're all headed towards tomorrow, Guy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, some of us aren't, but you know.
Jesus. Dead. The next morning, they wake up to find themselves on the edge of a cliff with Guy dangling off of it in his log. God damn it. I'd make a morning wood joke, but again, kids movie. We cut to the family walking through the bottom of the ocean or something where, yeah, anyways, I won't go there. That was one of my Coppola questions where Guy says that they almost died, so they need to speed up. Eep asks Guy how the tiger in the story he told flew, and he says he won't tell her as long as he's stuffed into a log over Greg's shoulder. Eep punches her brother in
funny like that.
Yeah, funny like that. Eep punches her brother in the face to knock the log off Greg's shoulder to free Guy. Free Guy? Get it?
Yeah.
Which prompts Greg to say he's loose in a very cagey way.
He's loose. However he says it. Crazy. That's the cagiest moment, I think, of the whole movie.
I think so too, yeah.
He's a loose.
Grug runs to get Guy, but he steps on some coral that stabs his feet. He yells at the family after they all try to walk on the coral, but then spots Guy standing perfectly fine on them since he made some shoes out of an alligator, koala, German shepherd or something. I think it's supposed to be the warthog, but who fucking knows in this mythical, magical world of animals.
It's like you just throw darts and like put 5 animals together and just call it some sort of chimera thing.
Greg gets angry and makes some caveman noises at Guy, but can't reach him. So Greg just chases after him while stabbing his feet on the coral. Guy gets away, but realizes how helpless these morons are without him, so he makes a deal with Grug that he'll help them. But the log ride is over. Again, kids' movie, so we're going to stay away from those jokes. He asks Grug to kick away the log, and he kicks it like 40 miles. Reminds me of this time I saw a homeless guy kick a log in San Francisco, but that was... never mind. Different kind of log.
It's a different kind of log.
Belt and Guy fashion shoes for everyone out of random sea creatures that are somehow alive in this underwater location that isn't underwater. Eep is the only one who gets regular shoes, and she screams that she loves them since, women love shoes. She falls into Guy, prompting Grug to lose it again and pull them apart. Grant asks where Guy gets all these great ideas, and he says, I'm calling it a brain. He says he's pretty sure that's where ideas come from, but Grug says they've gotten along just fine without a brain so far, and that ideas are for weaklings while he shadow boxes for a bit.
I think it's like, I don't know if it was like planned to be that way, but I'm guessing probably so. But like Guy is the brains and Grug is the heart through the whole movie. So he's the emotional center and then Guy is the logical one. Also, I appreciate that like Guy is never just like hating them. He's just kind of like, well, I got to deal with these people and like do what I can to help them, but I need to get out of here before we all die.
Yeah.
But like even from the beginning, he's like he's not like he wants to run away from them or anything. He's just has to deal with them.
Yeah, well, he's got the hots for Eep.
Yeah, that too. That helps. You can deal with most family issues if you got the hots for the daughter.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Never mind. Next, we see the family on their way to the mountain, and Guy using his big brain to solve every problem they encounter, such as giving the punching monkey some bananas, using stills to cross a valley with a saber-toothed parrot in it, using surfboard leaves to get down a mountain, using an umbrella in the rain, all while Grug falls over and over, gets hit by lightning, etc., etc. Grug tells Eve to be careful, and she flips out. But then Guy says the same thing, and she says, "Oh, okay." Well, Grug loses it some more. They dive into the water, and Guy teaches them all how to swim, except for Grug, who just sinks to the bottom, defeated, since his family no longer needs him, and almost gets eaten by that parrot cat again.
Act 3. It's about time to wrap this thing up.
We bubble wipe to Guy telling Gran and Thunk a hilarious story about a bear taking a dump in someone's cave or something, which makes them all laugh as dumping bones in somebody's cage. I don't know. Or cave. Missed the setup for that joke. Grug pushes him out of the way and spots a miles-long stretch of desert in front of the mountain that is filled with large fissures, caves. I don't know. It was like a desert that had hardened into rock or something. I don't know what exactly that was supposed to be, but I feel like that exact same shot is in Return of the King when they're on their way to Mordor.
In fact, the mountains kind of look like Mordor.
Exactly, yeah. It looks like you just put an eye right in between those two mountains.
Yep. Yeah.
Maybe that was the inspiration.
Could be, yeah.
That mountain's so, not realistic at all. There's, no way that mountain could exist like that.
No.
Guy hands out seashells to everyone so they can call if anyone gets lost. It's just using those seashells for everything. You can hear from a long distance away. You can call people. You can put them on your feet. Grug is shocked when Guy suggests they split up to find the fastest path through the wasteland and says there's no way that they are splitting up, aside from Guy and Eep, who are rubbing on each other, or she's rubbing on him, and he pushes them apart. Gonna make some fire of their own. Knock some alligator shoes or whatever. They don't have boots, Grug puts his foot down, or I guess his arms and feet down like a gorilla, saying it's his job to keep them all safe, but suddenly an earthquake of some sort rolls in and throws them all down a bunch of water slidey holes below them, which are also in that cave area, desert, whatever the hell that is. Weird landscape. It's hard to even describe that landscape because it's so not something you would actually run into in real life, I don't feel like. It's like when you see a dried out desert and it starts separating, but over 100 miles across. Everyone lands in separate caves, and Grug yells through the wall that he'll come and find them, but Guy says that they should just all keep moving since it'll be faster, because they'll all be looking for separate paths through. Which, if you go by Grug's thought process at the beginning, is they're all going to end up dead. Because they're better together when they can get into their little kill circle.
Yeah.
Grug again finds himself feeling useless to his family, and Gran, Uga, and Sandy find their way through a flower forest that eats you if you don't look like a flower. Thunk finds a weird skunk alligator thing that sounds and acts like a dog that he names Douglas. And Eep and Guy have a romantic time with some flowers in a cave filled with giant red crystals. All these fantastical landscapes.
You need flashy visuals to keep the kids interested.
Yeah. It feels like they took a lot of inspiration from Avatar.
And was it not Land Before Time?
Fern Gully?
No, what's that movie that they did a remake of?
Journey
where
to
they travel to the center of the earth, and there's dinosaurs. It was a TV show back in the day. Sid Croft and I can't remember, but it kind of reminds me of that.
Everyone makes it out of the cave safely to some sort of giant redwood forest, except Grug, who is still stuck in the same spot. He weakly blows his seashell for help and is super depressed since Guy cuckolded his family away from him. Up in that giant tree from Avatar, like I said, or something, the sloth mixes drinks. It's got a shaker and everything. And everyone's just having a great time. Except for Grug, who had to go be rescued by Uga. How does she find her way through that to him? He yells for the family to come down from the tree, but Uga says that they're fine since they're with Guy. This sets Grug off again, and Uga tells him to stop being such a drag, or I guess knuckle dragger. He's caveman. Grug tries to start a fire with some rocks, then asks his family if they want to sleep in a pile with him or hear one of his famous death stories. But they all just ignore him and stay up in the tree. It would not be comfortable to sleep on somebody's stomach. On that Just saying. Uga tells Guy that her family had the best day of their lives, all thanks to him, before they spot more lava erupting on the horizon. Guy worriedly eyes the impending apocalypse, then tells the family he wants to show them something and takes them up to the top of the tree where they can see thousands of stars in the night sky. They're all completely in awe since they've never been able to go out at night and have lived in a cave filled with grug turds their whole lives.
God damn it.
I don't know, trademark grug turds. Use that for something. Guy says every sun that has crossed their sky comes to rest up there, and Eep says, tomorrow, to which Guy says that's where they'll be safe. The hell does that even mean?
Who knows?
Nobody knows.
The stars represent tomorrow, or that's supposed to be a world, or what exactly are they believing here? Like tomorrow is a place and it's up in the sky?
Well, this idiot
Where
thinks
all
they
the
could
suns?
ride the sun to freedom. So who knows?
I mean, he's a caveman. You know.
But he's got
Cut him
brains.
some slack, dude. Grug overhears Gran saying Grug is useless and has no way to protect them, while Uga defends him. Gran says if Grug... Grant says if Grug ever had an idea of his own, she'd have a heart attack and die, which makes Grug sport a huge grin, and he gets to work coming up with the greatest idea ever. The next morning, Grug shows off his inventions to the family while dressed like a beatnik drag queen or something. Or I think he's supposed to be Guy. Like he's supposed to be like he's got the same hair as Guy.
Yeah.
And he's doing his cool guy voice. Well, he says a snake around his waist is the new and improved belt, which pisses off the sloth. Then he then says it's even self-tightening as it constricts around him in a very cagey way.
It's even self-tightening. Ow!
He shows them a rock you can use as a ride through the forest, but rolls and bashes into a tree, causing it to fall over. Then he smears paint on Thunk's face and smacks him in the face with a rock to create a snapshot. Then he gives them all shades, which are just pieces of wood in the shape of glasses with no holes in them to see through. So he's on the crux of like actual inventions the whole time. He kind of has the idea of them. Then Grug gets smashed by some rocks when he makes a mobile home cave and a rock seesaw. You get the idea. It's just picture him getting punched in the nuts over and over and over again. Pretty much what it is.
Yeah. I'm a little sad that the rock seesaw didn't come back into play at the end.
Oh, rock seesaw.
Yeah, I thought that's how he was going to launch himself.
Yeah, he could get over with that. Yeah.
But no, he has to create a whole new invention.
A whole new thing, yeah. Even more unrealistic thing. Mm-hmm. We cut to them in a giant turtle shell boat thing going through a swamp where Grug explains to Uga that he thought if he could come up with something cool, Eep wouldn't want to leave with Guy. I don't think that she ever planned on leaving the family behind unless they weren't coming with or whatever, but I never got the sense that she was just like this whole time she was just planning on ditching her family and never coming back. But I think that's what Grug is afraid of.
Yeah.
He's going to lose his daughter. Oh, and he was excited at the thought of her mom dying from him coming up with an invention. And I also kind of thought that your mom would die. They finally arrive at that crazy-looking mountain that they've been heading to, and just as they arrive, a huge eruption happens behind them. Grug spots a cave and pushes his family into it, but they all tell him no, since their eyes have been opened to a world outside of caves. Grug is shocked that they've all decided to go to with Guy to tomorrow. Eep says Grug needs to stop worrying about them, and he explains that it's his job to worry about them and keep them safe, but they're all like, screw you, Dad. Go live in your cave while our skin melts off from the impending pyroclastic cloud that's heading straight towards us. This is the time to not listen to him? Grug passionately pleads with them to listen to him, but Eep says, we would be dead if we listened to you. And she says that they have to follow Guy now. Oof, it's harsh. Grug spots Guy and snarls, Guy. before running after him and tackling him. They both fall off a cliff into some tar, and Guy says there's no way to escape it, so they're basically dead already, which is kind of true, but then they get out of it in seconds flat. Guy explains that his family died from falling into tar when he was little, and Grug tells him he's sorry. It must have been pretty fun to watch. Family die in front of you in tar, slowly being covered by it, or just starving to death. I don't know.
Eaten by a predator.
Yeah, it just comes along, chomps them while they're stuck in the tar. Things get all mushy as Guy says his parents' dying words to him were, "Don't hide, live, follow the sun, and you'll make it to tomorrow." Grug says his daughter is a lot like him since they both follow the light, and Guy says that she's more like Grug. Guy says Eep loves Grug. Guy says Eep loves Grug. But always forgets to say it just like Grug does to Eep. Grug says he was just busy keeping them alive, and Guy says that's what dads do. Grug suddenly gets motivated and says they need to get back to keeping the family alive together, but they need one of Guy's ideas to get them out of this sticky situation. It's because it's tar. Guy makes another sexy puppet, and this time for the saber-toothed parrot thing, which attracts the male in seconds flat. It's like nice that they're just, it was just like standing right off. It's convenient. The saber parrot sees the puppet and grabs it after Grug makes it look scared to death because Guy doesn't know how to properly act scared, but Grug does. The cat pulls them free of the tar while trying to rescue the girl parrot cat, and when its head falls off, the cat is shocked and eyes Guy and Grug, prompting the third dun 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 from the sloth. This movie's only like 90 minutes long. There's 4 of these jokes, dude. Every one of these was in the trailer, I swear. It's like the one thing that they were hinging the whole movie on. And it made $600 million, so.
Yeah.
Lesson is Marvel can bring people back to the theaters by putting a cute animal in every movie that makes the same joke 4 times.
Yeah.
Just, that's all it really takes. The saber parrot tries to kill them, but is stopped because he got stuck in the tar and is slingshotted away rather than being stuck and never being able to leave. So really this tar is not actually a threat whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Grug and Guy celebrate, but just when the rest of the family show up, a giant chasm opens up, prompting Grug to say, "Take us to tomorrow," to Guy. They all drink some wine coolers spiked with arsenic. Oh, wait. That's a different
How do you shoehorn a Jonestown joke into this? Bravo. Holy shit, that's masterclass right there.
It's a gift. It's a gift.
Oh my God. Brilliant.
They run through the opening between the wacky-looking mountain and spot a huge sun going down into the clouds. Which is like, why is the sun so huge in that scene? Before they can fly into the sun or whatever their plan is, a huge eruption happens, which creates a giant canyon between them and the other side where the sun's at. Guy suddenly has no more ideas, so Grug comes to the rescue. He tells them they're not living in caves anymore, and the point of life is to follow the light. He says he has no ideas of his own, but he has his strength, and that's all they need. They all decide to be thrown across the canyon filled with lava to God knows what on the other side with very little hesitation. See, they would have drank those wine coolers. I guess it's better than the hell world that they're running from, because everything behind them is just apocalypse now.
Yeah.
Grug throws Guy across, and from the other side, Guy uses his seashell to let them know that it's all clear. They all realize that Grug won't be able to join them, so he says his goodbyes to his family. He throws Thunk across, then says goodbye to his wife and dog child before throwing them as well. Gran tells Grug, "You surprised me today," and he throws her directly into the lava. We see her burst into flames while screaming, which I didn't expect in a kid's movie. But no, he tosses her across too. Eep tells her dad, "I have too much to say to you. I need to fix everything and I don't have time." Grug says he can fix it, all and gives her a hug before telling her he loves her. He also says, like, I'm calling it a hug because it rhymes with Grug. When she tries to say I love you back, they're interrupted by more of the cliff falling. He picks her up to throw her, and she says she's afraid, to which he says, never be afraid. Then he throws her directly into the lava. That's like the opposite of what he's been telling her whole life with the never not be afraid. Now he's telling her never be afraid. Character development. Now he throws her across, and the cliff collapses underneath him. The Croods and Guy watch in horror, but spot Grug after he makes it up. The cliff collapses, but he somehow makes it up the cliff. They wave to him, and he's happy to know that his family will be safe with their new dad or whatever. The whole world starts collapsing around Grug, and he runs for shelter in the cave he spotted earlier. Inside the cave, Grug is finally able to make a fire without Guy's help. Then he paints some cave drawings of his family on a rock for 15 minutes or so. He's knocked down by an earthquake and restarts his torch, only to come face-to-face with the saber-toothed macaw cat thing. The Mecanivore. All right. Which immediately befriends him when the light goes out in the darkness because he's scared to death. It's like he sees Grug as his salvation, pretty much, and decides not to eat him anymore. Mm-hmm. Character development. Grug hears the horn of Abraxas again and thinks his family is in trouble, so he decides to come up with a plan to get across the canyon. Grug covers a huge rib cage with some tar, then screams for those evil piranha birds to come get him. Just before the birds can make mincemeat out of he and the cat, they jump into the rib cage and light the torch, causing most of the birds to leave, but some to be stuck to the rib cage, but they fly away from the torch. Get it? It's like a helicopter bird rib cage thing.
Airship, Zeppelin.
Yeah, Zeppelin. There you go. He uses the torch to get the birds to fly across the canyon, but first spots Douglas, the dog alligator skunk thing, while saying,
Hey, I know that guy!
I think it's my favorite line of the movie.
Douglas, no, you didn't.
Hey. He saves the dog or whatever, then a couple other creatures before they can make their way across to his family. They are all swallowed up by another volcanic eruption cloud or something. Which those things are filled with all sorts of chemicals that would just collapse your lungs immediately. But, whatever. Just ignore that. We cut to Eep desperately trying to signal her dad using a seashell, and the rest of the family say it's time to give up and move on before this side of the canyon gets obliterated by whatever the hell is happening to the earth, which is never really explained. I don't know.
I thought it was the continents breaking apart. I thought that was the implication from the beginning story that they were telling.
Yeah, everything seems to happen really fast in this, where it's darkness comes almost immediately. The day is only 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
Pangea splits up in 30 seconds or a couple days. I don't know. They all call out one last time with their shells, and Eep says she never got a chance to say that she loves her dad. Uga says, if your father was here, he'd say, but she's cut off by Grug screaming, get out of the way! Guy spots a light in the sky and says, Grug is riding the sun, but not very well. Grug and the menagerie of animals slam into the ground, but he immediately springs up with the rib in his hand and says, where's the danger? Eep jumps into his arms and tearfully says, I love you too. They hug, and Grug counts his family again as they jump into his arms, including Guy and Gran, both of whom he's actually excited to see for the first time in the movie. Then he reveals all of their new pets, including Chunky the murder cat and the lizard hyena and whatever. Douglas, yeah. They climb a hill to a spot where they can see paradise next to the ocean, which I guess won't be wiped out by the apocalypse that's happening everywhere else.
I don't get it. Why does it stop?
Yeah, I don't know. But this, I guess, we don't know that it isn't wiped out. It's just kind of we see it like a time jump, but they're like still running towards the sun. So maybe they are still like running from the apocalypse. I don't know. I haven't seen the second one. Maybe that's what the whole story is in the second one too. Somehow I doubt it, but
Yeah.
we cut to some time in the future as Eep narrates that they're not cavemen. People anymore, since they changed the rules of survival. So like all the rules that Grug had put up on the cave walls, they broke all those rules, and now they're living in the world.
Living a vida loca.
They all jump on their battle animals that they've tamed, including one of those land whales for thunk. Seems like it would move kind of slow compared to the tiger lemur thing and all that. They ride their various made-up, make-believe creatures along the beach towards the sun. As Eep says, from now on, we'll stay out here where we can follow the light. We see the end on the screen, followed by the dog baby and the sloth doing the dun 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 joke for the fourth time. Really getting a lot of legs out of that joke. And then after the credits, we see some mouse elephants playing mariachi music with their trunks for some reason. I don't know. It's another little cute thing to tag on to the end. The end. It's too bad the internet didn't exist in caveman times, because Guy could have made a killing selling his inventions online, especially if he hosted his website on Bluehost. Bluehost makes starting an online store so quick and easy that even Grug could figure it out. And the good news is if he or Guy gets stumped or trapped in a log or whatever, they can call in the experts at Bluehost to help. The best part is, the domain is free for a full year once you purchase web hosting for as low as $2.49 a month. Use your phone to open the QR code on the screen, or click the link in the description below to start building the website of your dreams now. Bluehost, web hosting made easy.
We have a Coppola questions before we move on.
A couple of questions. I mean, we kind of answered this one, but why are all the animals just made up creatures that don't actually exist? I don't know. The answer is to make it more interesting and visually.
Yeah, it's probably more fun for the artists to
Yeah.
conceptualize that.
Probably more fun for the kids.
Yeah.
But then a lot of questions have to be answered by parents of like, no, tigers were never parrot colored.
Yeah.
Setting back paleontologists of the future by a few hundred years. I know this is a cartoon. I get it. But how did the one ear of corn turn into hundreds of fireworks in the sky? How did it turn into a firework, period? How did it turn into a rocket? I don't know. No
It's a
no
cartoon.
answers.
We
It's
can't
cartoon, man.
It's illogical.
How did the whale blow the Croods out of its blowhole? There's no water. Why are there whales on land?
Why are there fish?
Why are there fish
empty
everywhere?
ocean?
You can't just keep making shit up the whole way through. Is what I'm saying. Like, it's just the whole world is just make believe in this thing. But at that point, just make it a different planet. Like,
Yeah. That's kind of how I
we
felt.
see
It
the
was like-
globe, and it's like, just make it something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to pretend that this is actually Earth. How did they know that the other side of the lava canyon was safe when it could just be another like wasteland on that side? I guess they say that like it's a chance. You have to take
Yeah.
it because it's better than
It's
the
thematic.
apocalypse world.
You know, you're always moving forward. It's got to be safer than what they're at now. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be, but
I mean, I mean, at least they don't see a volcano on that side of things.
yeah.
And then my final question is the apocalypse that destroyed literally every place that they've walked through this entire movie still happening and will wipe out the new place that they're at too? Are we supposed to be left with a hopeful message, or that they're just going to have to run for their lives for the rest of their days?
And that's kind of what they say they're doing anyway. So even if the apocalypse stopped, they'd probably just keep going and follow the sun. You know, they're now nomads.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, that's sort of what happened with cave people. Was like they eventually became nomads and started exploring everywhere.
Yeah,
trying to
do
find
they
better
follow
ways
the
of
sun
life.
Humans have
east
that
and then
drive
west?
to do it.
Or what? Like, how does that work? Do they start chasing the sunrise and then turn around and chase the sunset?
Probably just the sun at the beginning of the day, though they
Yeah.
were chasing the sun when it was going down before. Now they're chasing it when it comes up.
Right.
I don't know, man.
Just
It's
go where the
cartoon.
sun's going. It comes up and it goes. And then you keep
Yeah.
going. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's like it's just a cartoon. Like
Yeah.
my one question was going to be: so did Douglas just die and it was played off like a laugh? You know, because he rolls off the cliff and falls to his death. But then he's not. He's dead. He's not dead. He's alive at the end.
And somehow he's ahead of them.
Right?
Like, what's he even doing there? You know, how did he get there? Oh, weird.
What's the final tally?
That leads us over to the curse tracker, which I'm guessing is really heavy on this one. It's probably a shitload.
Yeah, no, it's a family picture, so he doesn't swear at all, which is a streak so far. We're at 3 movies in a row.
I'm guessing we're gonna get.
You can
I
keep
think
going.
he curses, or I don't think he curses in Teen Titans. I think there are curses in Teen Titans, but then maybe into the Spider-Verse. But he's playing Spider-Man, so I doubt it.
I don't think he does.
I don't remember
Yeah.
him cursing
Yeah.
in Spider-Man.
I don't think we're gonna get another curse until Dream Scenario. I can't imagine him cursing in G-Force or
Right. Yeah.
Astro Boy.
Right. So we're sitting at 0 for this. Still at 716 total. We'll probably not break that streak for a few
Yeah,
movies.
not going to move that needle till the season finale. Runtime, this is 98 minutes, which is kind of like mid-tier. Thankfully, not as long as USS Indianapolis or any of those types of movies that we've talked about this season. Mercifully, right, I feel like most of these cartoons are going to be right in that hot zone of like 90
Hour and a half.
to 100 minutes.
You can't go much longer. Kids will not sit through it.
Yeah. You gotta worry about the attention span, and then it's also every minute of the film costs another $250,000.
Exorbitantly more expensive than filming on film.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and just skip the nudity tracker. Though there is nudity in the ant bully. I counted one in the ant bully, which you'll see. State and country tracker made up caveman world, so who the fuck knows?
Pangea.
Yeah.
Get it
Put
on
that in the countries. Pangea. Budget versus gross. So we were 135 to 175 Hollywood math. I just approximated it in the middle at 155. Cost $155 million to make. Ended up grossing $587.2 million. That brings our grand total up to $1.522.5 billion budget with a $3.534.2 billion gross.
Jeez.
This is easily our highest grossing film of all time now. I think it's like $128 million more than National Treasure Book of Secrets.
Dang.
Still crazy to me that Book of Secrets did that much money.
Yeah.
I ask a random National Treasure fan what they remember from Book of Secrets, and I bet you they just will say something about the Declaration of Independence, because I don't think anybody remembers anything from that movie.
But they saw it.
They saw it, definitely.
So that's all that matters for the box office, I guess.
It's just crazy. Like, when you really break it down, it's like, does the box office really matter all that much? I mean, I guess that's the business of the whole thing.
That's why they're made. So,
But in the grand scheme of things, the more memorable movies are the movies that didn't make nearly as much money. But yeah, I believe up to this point, like nobody or no other Cage movie has come even close to Croods' money. I don't know what the second one made. I don't think it made nearly as much, but I still think it was like 300 or 400
during the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true.
It's going to have less just because of that.
Yeah, that is very true. Yeah, that's sad if you think about it. Like, it really could have done a lot better. Pandemic ruined a few things here and there.
Just a few.
Rating tracker. This was our 5th PG film. We have never had a G-rated film. I don't know that any of these are, because they're all kind of have like action, a little bit of violence. Like this movie, I'm sure it got PG because of violence.
Yeah,
and cartoon violence,
scary scenarios,
scary imagery. So I don't know if we're ever going to get a G-rated.
I don't think they really make G movies anymore, just because everything is so. Even the animated films are so realistic that when they put like stakes, into them, then it gets scary, and so they have to rate it parental guidance because kids are going to freak out.
If any of them, I figured that Christmas Carol was going to be a G-rated, but it was PG.
Yeah, it had ghosts in it. Scary ghosts.
Oh my god. So I don't think we're ever going to get one unless he makes a G-rated film in the future. But I would imagine all of these, aside from like, I think Teen Titans and Into the Spider-Verse are going to be PG-13. But I would assume all the other animated films are all going to be PG. That leads us over to the Nicolas Cage kill tracker for the Croods.
This might surprise you guys, but 0 kills. I know that's hard to believe. Even though he was really trying to kill his mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're still sitting at 201 on kills. And then death tracker, again, he survived. Even though they
almost
think
died.
He was going to die a couple times, right?
We thought he was going to die at the end, but...
Yep. So still alive, leaving us at 14 kills over, what is this, our 51st?
So, what did you think? Let's rank this film on the Cageometer.
That leads us over to the most important question that we ask on this show. Vince, where does the Croods from 2013 rate on your Cageometer?
Oh, man. I don't want to be too harsh on this film because it's a kid's film and it wasn't made for me, right? But
yeah.
So I'll go 7. I think there was some heart in it, and it had a good message for kids. It just doesn't resonate with me being a 35-year-old jaded man. But I mean, yeah, I'll give it a 7. Not great, not terrible, middle of the road, really. So give it a C. As far as Nick's performance, I really enjoyed his performance in this. I genuinely think he should do way more voice acting because he's built for it. He's so expressive in his voice, which doesn't always translate very well on film in person. So I think that's where some of his best cagey moments are, is when he is overacting but when it's just his voice, it fits a lot better. So I'll give Cage a 7 as well. I think anything higher would be a little too harsh because it's not like there was a lot to do with this performance. The writing wasn't very strong in my opinion as far as character development went or anything like that. So I'll give him a 7. It was enjoyable. I love his little cagey mannerisms, and they did a great job in translating that into the character and the animations. And it's funny to find out that they actually did base that animation performance off of 2 of his films. So
one of which is so like confusing.
Leaving
Las Vegas.
Yeah, so 7 for movie, 7 for Cage. It's we have watched way worse films on this podcast, so I do not want to beat this movie up too bad. It's not meant for me, and obviously it resonated with an audience because it crushed at the box office. So
yeah. All right, Nigel, where does the Croods rate on your Cageometer?
Everything about this movie just felt middle of the road to me. Even being kind of in the target demographic of like a family, a father with kids. The kids are a little young for this, I think. This captured my 3-year-old's attention a couple of times, but not enough to really hold it. So I think it's maybe made for more like 5 or 6-year-old kids. At least to get into it. Everything just kind of felt like the writing was kind of middle of the road, passable. Like it was just like, yeah, get a little heart into it, get a little allegory into it. You don't have to do too much. It's a kids movie, whatever. Animation was, I think it was good for the time. It's kind of hard to go back to 2013 and remember like what things were being come out at the time, but I think it looked pretty good. I didn't realize it was even that old. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. I think a lot of the environments were varied, but I think it felt really empty for a lot of the movie in a weird way. Like they did do that kind of Pandora-esque beautiful visuals and colorful environment, but every thing just kind of felt lifeless to me. They could have done more with it. I think that was just a budgetary, I don't know. It's hard to
Sure.
say.
Yeah.
Anyway,
rendering a ton of animals in the background and a ton of like landscapes.
Yeah.
All money.
So, I mean, to me, it was like a 5. I don't feel like it was great. I don't feel like it was bad. It was just, I can't give it worse than that because, again, it's a kid's movie and it was okay. It just felt totally passable to me. There's way better kids' movies to watch that, I'll use a movie like, just maybe not fair. Zootopia, for example, I think kind of came out around that time, maybe a little bit few years later. But my daughter watches Zootopia. She's a lot more drawn to watching Zootopia than she was to this movie. And I think, she doesn't get into the story and stuff, but I think the visuals of that are a lot more varied and impressive and capture a preschool kid's attention, and the writing's a lot better, but kids aren't going to pick up on that. But that's more enjoyable for the adults to watch it. But yeah, this one, I mean, it had some heart to it. It kind of felt a little forced. It just kind of felt added to it to kind of make it sappy. But there's some heart to it. I think you might get more of it as a father because we see all of this through the lens of the father who's sort of watching his family slipping away and doing everything he can to protect them and finding that that's not the case anymore. It's not what he needs to do. He needs to change, and he goes through an arc and all that. But I don't know. It just kind of felt iffy to me. I don't really understand it having like a 77% Rotten Tomatoes score. I mean, the majority of critics saying it having a positive opinion on it. I guess that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
The Metacritic score kind of made sense to me at like a 55%.
Metacritic was more mixed on it than Rotten Tomatoes.
Just going off of my own impressions of it, I kind of felt like it was fine. It was a very mid-tier movie. As far as Nick Cage's performance, I kind of felt the same. I don't really see him as that good of a voice actor, like kind of the opposite of Vince. Like I didn't really get anything out of his performance. It just kind of felt like it was Nick Cage talking, and I don't know. It's bizarre. Like there are characters he's played that I've seen him play, like Spider-Man Noir, where he feels like he's making a character. It doesn't really feel like Nick Cage. He's doing a Humphrey Bogart impression or whatever, and so that's kind of cagey. This just kind of felt like it was Nick Cage reading lines, and I didn't really get as much of an emotional connection to the character of Grug through his performance as I think Vince did or other people did. It just, to me, it was just Nick Cage reading lines. So I gave him a 5 as well. It's kind of just right there in the middle. It wasn't bad. It wasn't anything stellar to me. So yeah, to me, this is a very middle of the road movie.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be really harsh on it because whatever, it's a kids movie. It's like, throw it on. Kids are going to enjoy it. Families can get enough out of it to be entertaining, but it's just kind of where it lies for me.
I looked it up. Zootopia is 2016, so not too long after this.
But that also had Disney money behind it, not, DreamWorks on its last legs. So
on their last legs. Yeah.
And I'm sure, I don't know what the gross of Zootopia was, but this may have been more profitable but
I feel like Zootopia made really good money.
Yeah. But to me, that's like the pinnacle of what you can do with animation. You could have a great story that has allegories in it and is enjoyable for families, and you take message out of it, and it looks good. And this was several layers below that, but still passable.
Zootopia made just over $1 billion.
Okay, yeah.
On a $150 million budget.
Okay, so the same budget, basically.
Basically the same budget, yeah. 3 years
as much.
later, and ended up making,
Yeah, almost twice as much.
Marvel money.
But I think it's respectable for DreamWorks. I didn't realize this was like their last ditch effort to not fold as a company. That's pretty surprising.
Yeah, this movie saved the company. It's kind of crazy. On my Cageometer, I'm just going to split the difference with a 6. I kind of feel the same way. I feel the same way as both of you. Like it's passable. It's got heart. It's good, but it's also kind of forgettable. It's kind of mid-tier with the writing, animation. Same. I'll just echo what you said. Was like it just felt like it wasn't complete. Like it felt like it was very like every landscape that they went to was just wide open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this big expanse. With nothing much out in the distance, but then they walk for 5 minutes and they're in a completely different environment.
Yeah.
So it's like, I get it. It's money, you know, it's a very expensive thing to make an animated film like this, but I thought the performances were pretty great across the board. Like Ryan Reynolds is just kind of Ryan Reynolds. Cage is kind of just Cage. But like Vince said, I do think that his style of performance is very like, it could work very well with animated stuff, especially when he's allowed to really go full Cage in things. But he wasn't really in this. Before I jump into him, I'll finish up. So Catherine Keener was great. I thought Clark Duke did a great job. I also thought Emma Stone was great, and Cloris Leachman is always. Cloris Leachman is amazing and everything. But yeah, I don't know. They didn't. I mean. It felt like they leaned heavy into the cartoon world, but then at the same time, they tried to make them like normal people and relatable and stuff. But I don't know. It worked and it didn't work. It's like it has the heart, but it also feels like it's missing something at the same time. Like there's some secret sauce that just wasn't added to the mix.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure what's missing. Alan Silvestri did a great job with the music, but it's very forgettable. I don't really remember any of it. It's not like it has that, Alan Silvestri is known for doing stuff that's just extremely memorable, like John Williams. And there's nothing in this that resonated all that much. The cinematography that Roger Deakins didn't do is very lackluster and meh. So a 6, I feel like is fair. Cage, I also gave him a 7. I understand where you're coming from, Nigel, but I also feel like Cage did a great job, especially like he didn't really play a character. He was more just Nick Cage being Nick Cage, but I felt like it worked for Grug. I don't know. I feel like given more, like if he was able to go more zany, I think it would have like detracted from the character. I don't feel like he would have felt like a father figure if he went away from feeling like a relatable person in some way. So I felt like he did a good job. It's not like an amazing performance or anything like that. Kind of a C grade performance. But it wasn't detracting from the film. Whereas like, in Dog Eat Dog, it was detracting from the film when he did his thing and was able to do what he wanted. And like, I don't love his Bogart in Into the Spider-Verse. I understand that he's playing that like noir detective thing, which works for that character. Doesn't work in the slightest for Dog Eat Dog, but like he didn't really have to play a character in this one all that much. I feel like I said, he had to be a dad. And he had to be relatable as a dad to all of us, in some way. So I felt like he did a good job with that. And at that period, he was kind of doing a lot of things that were weird and trying to get back into his bizarre character actor stuff that he got famous for in the 80s. He was kind of going back to that. So it was after Spirit of Vengeance. And I think Joe came out the same year as this movie, which is interesting if you think about it. But I thought he did a good job, and I'm kind of sad that this didn't reinvigorate his career because I felt like he kind of went off the deep end after this. He wasn't really getting any like major roles, but from what I've heard, that was sort of his choice, was to not live in the major Hollywood system for a little bit and go off and do independent stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah, I
Hard
wonder
to
how
say.
much he got offers for animated voice work after this, because that made a chunk of change, and that's going to make any studio perk up, I think.
I think the only other thing he did in between this and Croods 2 was Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
So
So I just wonder maybe he got offers and just
Teen
turned
Titans,
them down.
right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Teen Titans. Yeah, I think that was after New a New Dawn or whatever the hell the second one's called, Croods 2. I feel
A
like
new age.
New Age. Yeah, I think Teen Titans was after Croods 2.
That
So he's still doing
Anyway,
some animated
so I
stuff.
just wonder if he got offers and just turned them down because he didn't want to do more.
I assume
but
so.
He's trying to do other stuff.
At the
'cause
same
I-
time,
I-
he was trying to pay off debts and
Yeah,
animated
this was
films
that
seemed
time
like
he-
they would pay off.
Yeah, like you spend what? You spend like a week recording your lines, and that's
Yeah.
take your
And you don't
paycheck
even have to
go.
leave LA. You just stay
Yeah.
in a studio.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's just
If
not
I
as
was,
enjoyable for him. I don't know. But
If I was an actor, I would do as many animated things as possible. 'Cause,
Absolutely.
Like, you get a solid paycheck and you don't really even have to like get dressed.
Yeah.
you just head
I
over
mean,
to the
it's-
studio, do your thing.
it's
and
probably
go home.
hard because you're just acting into a booth. Like you're not even acting with your co-stars most of the time or
Yeah.
interacting with them.
Yeah.
But so maybe it's just not enjoyable for a lot of actors. But I mean, come on, it's easy money.
Yeah, easy money.
yeah.
Here it is, the moment you've all been waiting for. These are the cagiest moments of the film.
Release the baby! Get Sandy! Come on. Darkness brings death. We know this. He's loose!
Is that a snake?
Belt. New and improved. Ow! It's even self-tightening. Ow!
What?
Where's the danger?
That's it for this episode of One Cage at a Time. As always, be sure to drop us an email at onecagepodcast@gmail.com to let us know if we missed anything, or hit us up with suggestions to improve the show, comments, compliments, or simply to gush about the legend that is Nicolas Cage. On the second day of Animated Cagemas, we'll be looking at an ever so slightly less visually spectacular film, The Ant Bully. Oh man, it really suffers for the things that came after it when it comes to animation. This looks like Jimmy Neutron, and it's just bad. It just looks bad. It's like the early days of when they switched over to digital animation. That's what it looks like. But then you realize like a bunch of Pixar movies that had already come out that were pretty visually spectacular in comparison. So
You can't really compare.
Again,
early
Pixar
animation to Pixar.
was paving the way. All the other studios
exactly.
were
Yes.
trying to get to that level, and Pixar had gobbled
Yeah.
up all the talent. And so
this looks like one of those like, animated shows that you'd see on Saturday morning or something. Ugh. Just not a beautiful movie for by any stretch, which is crazy because it has Julia Roberts, Meryl Streep, Paul Giamatti, Lily Tomlin, Bruce Campbell, and Nick Cage, of course. But yeah, kind of. I mean, we'll see. But I feel like wasting those talents on this. But it was the early days of the money grab of the animated films were making a ton of money. But it's a loose adaptation of a popular kids book called The Ant Bully, but it ended up being a huge box office bomb. I think it cost like $50 million to make, and it only made like 55. So like in comparison, it just didn't make very much money.
yeah.
And I feel like it kind of suffers from the same thing. We'll talk about it a lot when we do the thing, but it's just kind of like middle of the road. It's just so. In the film, we meet a 10-year-old hellspawn named Lucas, who takes out his nerd aggression on the ants who live in his yard, but an ant sorcerer, played by our hero, creates a potion that shrinks the boy down to ant size so he can learn the error of his ways. Oh boy.
It's like somebody saw Honey, I Shrunk Ourselves. And I was like,
Yeah.
let's do it from the bug's perspective.
Exactly. Yeah. That's pretty good. Might use that for the synopsis of the movie.
Yeah.
Anyways, make sure to check it out wherever fine films are sold or on your streaming service of choice. Until then, we'll say goodbye the way we do each and every episode with our Nicolas Cage quote of the film.
We do this fast. We do this loud. We do this as a family. And never not be afraid.
Thanks for listening to One Cage at a Time. Visit us online at onecageatatime.com or follow us on the social media platform of your choice for more Nicolas Cage goodness. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you really like the show, become a member of our Patreon where you can download unedited and ad-free episodes, as well as listen to our follow-up show, Back Into the Cage, where we re-examine each movie to discuss what we missed the first time around, answer listener questions, and wax poetic about the man, the myth, the legend that is Nicolas Cage.
We've gotten along just fine without brains till now. Cavemen don't need brains. We have these. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Ideas are for weaklings.